Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I am a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the move of Juno, whom I read as the divine feminine, into the sign of Libra, which it will stay in for a good long stretch actually. So I'm making this video with the channeled messages that my guides have provided for the Twin Flame Collective about this stay of Juno in the sign of Libra, and it will be both joint astrological light and channeled message heavy. There will be a separate video with the astrological movement for the course of this stay. So this stay begins on November 3rd, 2019 at 9:29 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll need to convert that to your own time zone if you're in another location outside of the eastern seaboard of the United States. And Juno then moves on from the sign of Libra on September 20th, 2020 at 7:20 a.m., according to my software. So that's a pretty significant chunk of time. Let's see, November, all of November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. It's 11 months. It's an 11-month stay of Juno in the sign of Libra. For those of you who pay attention to numerology, and you can see here in the chart that's on your screen, here's Juno, whom I read as the divine feminine. She's also known in classic astrology as the partnership asteroid, entering Libra. Here's the sign of Libra here, 0 degrees Libra. On November 3rd, 2019 at 9:29 p.m. So if you're watching this video, this movement of Juno into Libra has already happened. This marks a very interesting and significant period of time because for the last year or more, Juno has actually moved through every other sign of the zodiac wheel 1 month at a time with the slower moving planets and the sun. She slowed down in the last 2 months to begin an extended stay and retrograde period in the sign of Libra, which is very significant that the partnership asteroid would come to sit for about 11 months in the partnership sign, which marks the halfway point through the zodiac. This particular period of time is marked by what Libra brings into the conversation for twin flames. And what Libra brings out of all the other 12 zodiac signs is fairness. It represents justice, balance, equity, and equality. In classic astrology, when you dig into the roots of Libra, it is known as the balance point of the heavens, and it is represented by a pair of scales that were meant to demonstrate bringing things into balance. So, something that's very interesting about this is that this is really an energy of the divine feminine bringing and calling forward, and the feminine energies within all of us, both the divine masculine and the divine feminine. It's the feminine energies that are bringing balance energy into the connection. So, one of the things that my guides kind of mentioned when it comes to the way weighing scales work and the way Libra works and the way balance works is that this particular period of time will become a tipping of the scales, in the opposite direction. And energetically, you may have felt this already, where perhaps you have felt one way about your connection, and in the last 30 days, that energy has begun the process of shifting. My guides asked us all to consider how a pendulum finds its equilibrium when it swings back and forth. It must go all the way to the opposite end, equal and opposite to its starting point, before it can settle down in the middle. So, for example, if in your twin flame connection you've held space, you may stop holding that space, stepping into a freedom vibration. If you've been avoiding the connection, you may start to embrace it, stepping into a dedication vibration. Whatever is opposite what it is that you've been doing is very likely what the energy is that is about to become made manifest in your life and in your twin's life via the feminine energy within you to help support bringing the connection into balance. In the collective energy, this also coincides with the Divine Feminine's full moon. It precedes it. The Divine Feminine's full moon I read as the Taurus full moon each year. The Taurus sign is actually the very first feminine sign of the zodiac. So I read Taurus, the Taurus full moon and the Taurus new moon as the Divine Feminine's new moon and the Divine Feminine's full moon. New moons representing beginnings, full moons representing culminations and completions. This would represent the completion of a cycle for the Divine Feminine. The completion of a particular way or a particular orientation to her connection. So if her orientation to the connection was one where, she was, very concentrated on it, it was taking up a full spectrum of her energy and focus, this may be a swinging of the pendulum in another direction where she loosens that focus and starts to focus on other things. This may come with some grief. And my guides really said the trick is not to resist the change. The trick instead is to give yourself permission to allow the change to occur. As those who were holding the space of dedication toward the connection may step into the space of dedication to self. Or as those who were avoiding the connection may begin to step outside of that avoidance and step outside of the comfortable and the familiar and step into certain types of risk taking to, foster the connection in certain ways. Whatever has been the comfort zone for you, even if you are in union with your twin, whatever has been the comfortable place for you to be inside of the connection, there is going to be a switch in the energy as you move toward the other end of the spectrum. Because there will be a movement out of what was comfortable, that does come with some level of loss. And with loss, sometimes there is grieving. And there's no guarantee here with this balancing of the scales that what's been removed as we release the comfort zone will be brought back. It's just that this is an appropriate step. It is the step for now to move out of the energy that was and move into the energy that is coming. And still, even for others, you may find that you've lived in an energy of dedication, but now you're getting ready to move into an energy of deeper dedication, where, the way you have held space for the connection has operated in one way that may have had certain conditions around it. Now you may move into a space of holding the connection without those conditions. So, for example, I've received emails and spoken to people who have said, I've really been holding space for this connection. But in order for me to be willing to show up, I need my twin to do this, or I need my twin to do that, or I'm not willing to go back into it the way it was. You may find that the new space that you're entering into with this move of the Divine Feminine into the sign of balance has to do with releasing those conditions and just operating more fully from the heart space, and giving yourself a lot more permission to drop the conditions that the mind feels like is appropriate and step into the conditions that the heart compels you to step into. My guides also said, you want to keep in mind that what is coming into balance now is more than just what needs to be balanced within this lifetime, more than just what your conscious mind recognizes as required for balance with your twin. What's coming into balance now may actually include past lives with your twin, for those of you who know you have lived past lives with your twin. It may also include the balancing out of ancestral inheritances and ancestral patterns. For those of you who are aware that certain things within your families have now played out with your twin, you may find that now becomes a time of balancing out those patterns that you inherited. So my guide said, please give them an example. So I came up with a couple. So I'll give those to you now. So let's just say you grew up in a household with one parent who had affairs while the other stayed monogamous to the connection. You met your twin, and you or they are married. And you've been dedicated to your twin and maintaining the connection, fostering the connection, but in secret. It's not out in the open or on the table. Now, with this move of the divine feminine into the sign of balance, you may step into releasing the connection to the twin to balance out the ancestral patterning and clear that patterning out that may actually go back generations. On another way of saying, another example is perhaps you come from a family that really values prestige and achievement. And everyone in your family has attended, Ivy League schools or prestigious universities and created stellar career achievements that are very remarkable. Perhaps you've met your twin and they're an artist with no connection to prestige, no connection to fame. And while they may not be well known, they may not have notoriety, they do get by, they do well enough. And you have felt the connection, but you've not yet been willing to do anything about it. Maybe, you've thought to yourself, oh, there could be someone else out there like them who better fits in with, my family and, my trajectory in life. Or perhaps when you look at your twin, suddenly you yourself don't feel good enough because you recognize that you value what they do too, but your life doesn't actually reflect that. It matters to you to live authentically, but your life reflects a series of choices based on the dictates of family. Now, with the movement of the divine feminine into the sign of balance, you may step into a period of time of removing yourself from some of the unspoken family rules in order to explore what's really right and really true for you, or removing yourself both from the twin and the family so that you can hear yourself fully, given how flooded you may have been by both sets of information. So you're kind of getting how this works. If it's been an intense feeling, it may become a neutral feeling. Whatever has been out of balance, the pendulum will swing in the opposite direction as part of the way it finds the middle. My guides had said, it's really difficult in the realm of density for human beings to understand the middle when you have no idea experientially what is at the other end of the spectrum from where you are right now. So they provided a set of 6 keys to moving through this 11-month window that I'll share with you now. That seemed pretty helpful to me. I wrote them down. You may want to write them down for you as we move through this, because these 6 keys are what will make moving through this window happen with a lot more ease, they seem to say. But the main thing they seem to be concerned about in their relaying of the channeled message was that this is a window of time where that swing of the pendulum can get out of control. And by out of control, it means we can add more chaos to this than it actually needs to have. And so they shared, what you want to do is, if you can operate within these 6 keys, you can gently come into balance as opposed to landing yourself with, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20 more years of additional stuff that you have to work through. So the first thing is that they said we want you to recognize that 2020 is not a year of final decisions for people to make in whatever state their twin flame connection is in. That this is more a year of allowing things to settle, allowing things to come back into balance, come back into harmony, for the scales to be rebalanced. This isn't a year to make decisions. It's a year to stay open. And they said it's less about being open-minded and more about being open-hearted. I can't even read my own handwriting. They said, let this hang in the balance. There's too much change happening in 2020, and I'll get to all the change happening in 2020 in the astrological video that I do. But they said there's going to be too much change occurring to make any final decisions about your twin flame connection, and where it stands. That 2020 is a stepping stone year, not a final destination year, and that you want to have within you the capacity to respond authentically from the heart in real time. And so that was the first thing that they said to do, is to just make sure that you're giving yourself the proper opportunity to suspend judgment, suspend choice, suspend decision. Don't close off any options. Just wait and see. Be in the moment in real time with how you feel about a particular interaction with your twin. Respond from your heart in that moment, and then get to the next moment and respond from your heart in the following moment. But if you're trying to come up with a strategy for how to, deal with your connection to your twin, that will probably backfire. It's one of those things where, because it's not conscious what the clearing is, both from past life and some even from generational stuff, you got to let this hang. You got to be in real time in the moment, because the heart knows the truth, even when the mind does not. So the second thing that they said is really imperative to do to move through 2020 and this 11-month window is that you really want to be clearing negative emotions and denser thought forms. They said this is going to help allow the balance to happen organically and not in a way that is forced. And so that kind of echoes that idea of like, this decision comes in real time. There's a lot of, I'll say in the Muggle world, for those of you who know the Harry Potter reference, but for those of you who don't, in the standard world of relationship dynamics, we might have a series of interactions with a partner, and based on those series of interactions, make a decision. This is good. This is bad. This is healthy. This is not. I can stay connected. I should close down. But what twins are actually doing in real time is getting grounded in the heart center of love and responding from a place of equal measure, self-love, love for another. And out of that, true solutions occur that allow people to be in honoring of what the connection is and of themselves. And that doesn't come with a premeditated way forward. That actually comes from being in the heart in real time and speaking the truth of the heart. The second thing that they said is really critical to do is let whatever change occurs be organic rather than, what does this say? Rather than seek with your mind, feel with your heart what you're called toward, as it's impossible to know through the mind that which has happened in every incarnation before this and all that is carried into a genetic line. But the heart will know when it is in states of coherence. Um, so yeah, it's part of why they're saying let this hang in the balance. um, there's certainly always when we've been hurt or let down or disappointed, or by opposition when we've been elated, to have certain expectations, when we've been overjoyed and we had a great experience in the past, want to have that again. When we've been let down before, we want to avoid having that. So we can create parameters around the ways we'll quote unquote deal with our twin, depending upon how they have showed up in the past. However, to get through the energies of 2020 and this great balancing of the feminine energies within all of our connections, what their guidance is saying is that it's going to be really necessary to get into that heart space and let the change be organic. So until you actually have that next interaction, that next prompting with your interaction with your twin, the real and the true answer is I don't know, because we don't know. We can't predict what state we're going to be in when we have whatever that next interaction is. If that, if you're in union and that particular, we hit that same particular snag or come to this particular hurdle, if their issues come up or your issues come up, it's hard to say what the true heart of unconditional love will compel you to do. So let the change be organic. The fourth thing that they said is to tell you guys about heart coherence. They said, tell them about heart coherence, and divine neutrality. So this is a newer concept for me. It's one that I've been studying, that my guides have really led me to pay attention to. Heart coherence is kind of an umbrella term that talks about a state of mind and heart, mind and emotions moving in a singularized direction. And so for many of you already know the state of heart coherence, but it hasn't always come with the state of divine neutrality that is really possible when we sink into a state of non-resistance with how it is. Sink into a state of zero expectations that things can be other than how they are. The heart coherence is a term that was created by the Heart Math Institute, and it's a state of truly being led, guided, and centered from the emotional truth within your heart, not asking it to be different or other than what it is, but also resonating within the frequency of love when you're operating in your day-to-day life and interactions. There's a lot of science that the Heart Math Institute has found to be true. Once they have measured people in the state of true heart coherence, they have found that there are certain things that become possible in the mind once they're in that state of heart coherence that are not possible otherwise. So I'll leave some links below this video to help you guys understand what's meant by heart coherence and what goes on in a state of heart coherence and how to get into a state of heart coherence. But some of the things my guides told me when I said, well, how do people access it? What are they supposed to do? They brought to mind all of the tools that have been presented over the course of my lifetime that help people maintain that state of heart coherence. I'll just list some of them now. For some of you, you may be familiar with the emotional freedom technique and tapping. Tapping will help create that state of heart coherence where you're no longer struggling against yourself. For others of you, energy and sound healing, Reiki, crystal bowls, solfeggio frequencies, all of these can help you. Let me just make a note that I need to link below. Okay. All of these will help facilitate your ability to get into that state of heart coherence and start maintaining it for longer and longer periods of time. Holotropic breath work, doing that kind of breath work that allows you to start purging past energies that have been held in the lungs, and the lungs in Chinese medicine represent grief. And so doing that kind of purge work through the breath will also help facilitate bringing your energy and your spirit and your mind and your body all into the present moment, a state of full coherence. Some of you are familiar with Akashic record clearing and Akashic record healing. Any type of work that's going to allow you to clear out on the etheric level anything that's been holding you from being fully grounded and anchored in real time, heart, mind, body, and soul in a singular dimension will add to your power, and Akashic clearing can help you do that. Others of you are familiar with cellular level detox, changing up what you eat and what you drink in order to help your cells, cells, help your cells release anything that's stored material, stored matter, stored toxins. Because if you can release it from the physical, you can also begin to release it from the etheric, things that would like to find a way to attach to you in the etheric. If there's no anchor point in the physical, they cannot stay. So cellular level detox can also help with that. Juice cleansing, when done properly, modifying your diet to remove points of inflammation, things that cause inflammation and allergic reaction and sensitivity inside your body. All of that can help you as well. Doing the things like releasing any stored toxins from illnesses that you have had over the years, and then rebuilding your immune system. All of that can help. Like I said, if you release it from the physical, you can also release it from the etheric. As above, so below. So meditation is another thing that they said. This is, the thing that my guides have been reminding me of in particular. They're like, girl, we need you to ground and protect. So any type of meditation that supports your capacity to clear your energetic field and really clear your connection with your twin, any types of meditation that will help you do that and bring you and your energy into present time will also help facilitate that heart coherence. And the last thing that they said is to sweat as much as you can, exercise, sauna, get rid of any of the things that are being stored subcutaneously in the skin, get rid of things that are being stored cellularly in the tissue that is ready for release. All of that is going to keep the pendulum from swinging out into all kinds of crazy directions as it seeks balance in the middle. Getting rid of things, toxins and inflammatory things that would cause you to have a response that's greater than what it actually needs to be as we move into this time of balance. You want to actually have an appropriate swing of the pendulum, not a wild swing of the pendulum, so that you can stay on track with your growth. So some of these are things I'm sure, many of your own guides and guidance has been speaking to you about. This is just the short list that my guides gave me. But if you're currently having a memory right now of things that have been popping into your peripheral, it may be time to make it central to your life as a way of creating heart coherence going forward during these 11 months of significant change we're walking into in 2020. They said anything that's going to get you into that state of divine neutrality more of the time. The last thing they said here was writing affirmations. If you can't do any of the things just mentioned, you have a pen, you have paper, you can read, you can write. Start the process of writing affirmations. And make it neutral if you can't make it positive about yourself, about the concept of love, about God, and about your twin. It doesn't even have to include your twin, they said, but start the process of using your language to get to a place of positivity, if not neutrality, because that will also help guide the balancing for you in your connection. This brings us to the next one, which is they said, please notice when you find yourself in guarded, defensive, retaliatory, untrusting, and judgmental states with your twin in your mind, in your heart, and in your actions. Because your twin as well is impacted by this significant change of planets, and they too will be seeking to create balance, many of them in ways that are still unseen to you. They said it's very easy to believe that you alone are suffering or you alone are doing all of the work if you do not see another's growth right before your eyes. And if you're in union, it's much easier to see your twin's growth in front of your eyes, and sometimes not even then. But just as there are many, many months between when it seems as if the trees are barren, when the trees drop their leaves before sprouts come back out in the springtime, that doesn't mean that nothing is happening or that the sprout isn't already in the beginning stages before you see them. Many things were happening before the shoot was visible to make that moment occur. And part of the thing that they said they want us to be very conscious of in terms of not stunting that growth, not putting a stopper into that movement. They said part of the thing you really want to do is start to notice, pay attention when we find ourselves in those guarded, defensive, retaliatory, untrusting, and judging states of the mind, of the heart, and in our actions. And that goes back to the second thing that they really shared, which is you really want to get into a ritualistic pattern of clearing negative emotion, clearing denser thought forms, because any of those negative things are going to impact the transformation that your twin is moving through as well, despite the fact that you cannot see it. The two of you are so deeply connected that your thoughts will truly become things when it comes to them. And then right after that, they said, now we need you to remind them of Dr. Masaru Emoto's experiments with water, because most of the twins' body and most of your own body is water, and most of the planet is water. Even that which is air still carries significant amount of water molecules. They said it's very necessary to greatly guard the speech and the mind so as not to swing the pendulum out of control and add to the pile of things already in the queue for balancing. For those of you that aren't familiar with Dr. Masaru Emoto's work, there will be links below this video to bring you up to speed. But I guess it was around 2012 when he published a series of experiments where on freezing ice crystals in clear containers, he wrote different words, like love or gratitude or I hate you and I will kill you. And he watched the way those words, seemingly something that should have no impact according to normal 3D science, actually impacted the coherence and the water crystals and the way they froze and the patterns that they made. The reason the guides brought this up is that they wanted me to be very clear in reminding you that thoughts impact outcomes here, especially in 2020. And as we move into this state of this 11-month period of balance, it is very imperative that we get control over negative thinking and negative feeling, and negative action, because we can't, so that we can actually manifest what's in the highest potential of all involved. They said, their exact words were, "What many of them do not realize is what powerful creators they are and how impactful their vibration is on their own and others' experiences." So, clearing negative emotion and thought form is of the utmost importance. By staying in the clear, it will shorten the distance between here and union of some sort for some of them. For others, it will bring in extra support and protection to the twin as the twin takes their next step. And still, for others, it will open the twin's eyes to the connection, maybe for the first time consciously. So, those are all the channeled messages about this particular movement of the divine feminine into the balancing sign of Libra. She's also known as the partnership asteroid, and that is the partnership sign. So, I leave it to you to interpret this in the way that you will for yourself and what you're meant to be learning. If you'd like to have a deeper look at your astrological chart, your twins chart, and your union chart, which is the date, time, and location the two of you met, to look at what this is going to mean in terms of balance for the two of you in 2020, email me at chrysalismoon@gmail.com. You'll get the autoresponder first. Check that spam box to make sure it didn't go there, and it will show you exactly how to book a reading so that we can take a look at how you're meant to work with the 2020 energies for yourself and for your twin. Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing how this resonates for you. And if this did resonate already, please like the video. Please share it with someone who may need to hear the message. And if you're not already, definitely please subscribe and look out for the astrological video about the 2020 energies for the divine feminine coming soon.